Welcome to the Rick Helps Real Estate Show on this very wet Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening. And we got the rain as promised, but it's kind of a little bit neighborhood by neighborhood. I know areas pretty much around the valley saw a lot of rain last night. Supposed to have some more tonight. And the other little tropical depression, we don't know if it's going to come up and turn right or come straight at us. So it's going to be a very interesting couple of days, but we are definitely getting our share of rain and it's been needed. Hopefully there isn't any damage at your home, and hopefully nothing went on in Globe. So I'm talk today about an article that I saw. And you know me when I read the news: foreclosures, repossessions rising after pandemic era lows. Bank repossession of homes has increased 33% from a year ago, while foreclosure filings are up 17%, a new ATTOM report finds. Well, okay, the first thing, after pandemic lows, we've gone up. I mean, wouldn't you think that was going to happen anyway? Isn't that just kind of normal? Because during the pandemic and lows, we just didn't have any foreclosures. And let me show you what's going on in our market right here. Because I tell you, a large percentage of a small number is still a small number. And here we are right down here on the bottom right-hand side. Those are notices of trustee sales in the red line, and trustee sales on the blue line is 100. And we're coming off the pandemic lows, which was 22. Seriously, that's not a headline. This was a headline up here in 2008, where you had 10,114 trustee sales and notice of foreclosure and 3,047 trustee sales. That's a headline, but it's not now. So I just get a little bit skeptical when I see some headlines like that, but I wanted to show you what we were looking at in our market. Now, the other number that I'm looking at now, just as we get through the last quarter here, is how many people are reducing their prices. So you can see that we went up a little bit to 2,981 last week. This week, 2,890. So not much of a change, kind of trending a little bit higher. People are going to want to move their homes before the holidays. So this is the month where they're going to start lowering their prices. When you look at list price versus sales price, it's really kind of hard to tell really what's going on, because we don't, by the time you get the list price and then it's a sold price, they're talking about the last price that was there before it went under contract, but we don't know where they started and came back down. I've seen some wild numbers out there, starting at $1.5 million, and then they sell for $1 million, and their neighbors are going, man, they had to reduce it by $500,000. This market's bad. And I think, well, $1 million probably was where it should have been in the first place. The only thing that was bad was it came in too hot. So we're seeing that a lot. And so when you see your neighbor reducing the price, you got to also look and say, well, what's statistically happening in my area? And I can show you if you get a zip code report here on the QR code or the link down below. See how I work that in? What a cheesy self-promotion that was. Here is our chart here showing Fountain Hills 153 on the CMI scale here. Cromford Market Index. Chandler's still healthy at 126. Maricopa is still the bottom feeder. But the news here is now they're tracking Santan Valley separately. It used to just be included in Queen Creek. They're sitting here at 69.7, Queen Creek 55.9. So a lot of the data that we have now, we're going to be able to tell you what's specifically going on in that area. And I know I'd had a lot of requests in the past, and I just kind of had to shrug my shoulders and go, I don't know. It rolls it together. Queen Creek, Santan. I got a zip code request for a report this morning for zip code 85048. That's kind of another problem area because it includes Ocotillo, Chandler, Clemente Ranch, Fox Crossing, and Sun Lakes. Well, there's a big difference between that part in Chandler that includes those other areas I just mentioned and Sun Lakes, which is an over 55 community. So getting a zip code report for that is going to tell you what's going on combined with both of them. So I sent it out and I said, let me know what you specifically want. Do you want just the Chandler area of 85048, or do you want Sun Lake? So when you do a request to report, you can be as specific as you want, and I'll try to do my best to help you out. Here's where we're at on an annual appreciation. Remember, I was telling you when you're pricing your home, are you going to make it $1.5 million? Well, what's going on in your market right now? Annually, we're down 1.4% versus last year. So don't price it last year. Price it last year minus at least 1 to 3%. Last year, we were climbing along up 5.2%. So it has slowed down compared to 2023. What kind of appreciation did we see pre-pandemic? It's right here. We were at this time 2019, we were up 5.9%. So when you're pricing, make sure you take that into consideration as to where your house is in relationship to where the market is trending. October, statistically, across the country, not just here, is probably the best time to statistically buy a house because people are more flexible in their pricing. Again, get me out of here before the holidays. And the rest of the country, the weather's not too bad. For here, the weather's great, so people are out shopping. But we're not seeing much of an increase in sales. I'm still showing us only at 2,550 contracts over a 7-day period, not catching up with the number of new listings that are coming on. So it's our sales are staying there. Now, what's going to happen? Well, this week, we don't have a whole lot that we're going to be able to show you. Even in the mortgage market here, we're at 6.32. They're going to be waiting for data, and therefore there is no data because there's a government shutdown. You know, are we going to get CPI numbers? Are we going to get jobs data? Nope, probably not. We're getting a lot of Fed chairmen out there speaking, and so there's not a lot of numbers that are going to be rolling in. The big concern is the tariff talk. China came out and basically said that they're not going to release any rare earths to us. You know, they produce the majority of it, so they're not going to sell it to us or any of the components that they make there with those minerals. Now, that's clearly them shooting themselves in the foot. Their economy's not doing good anyway. And so for them to say, well, we're just not going to make this accessible to you, they're bluffing, folks. And we're probably bluffing too, because our president said, fine, 100% tariffs start November 1st. Well, that's going to make things pretty jittery this week in the bond market and the stock market. So while the shutdown is there, you're going to see some numbers bouncing around this week just over the anxiety of what's going on with that tariff talk. And it's going to be an interesting thing to watch. I just think it's a lot of grandstanding by both parties. I don't see China digging in and holding on to that for long because it's not going to help their economy much. That's just me, though. Here's our listing success rate. Again, I put in 2019, which is a green line. You listed your house. 85.1% of you succeeded in getting a contract compared to today, which is 69.46. It's interesting to note that average of 69.6 has kind of been our historical average. Want to see how bad it can get? Take a look at 2008 here. The listing success rate got down to 22.8%. So when people say we're going to crash, well, we're going to have to see these kind of numbers, folks, and we're not seeing them. I mean, it was pretty bad back then. 2009 started to come up. 2010, people were starting to see a little more success. Let me get rid of these other numbers here. There was nothing better than 2021. Look at that listing success rate, 92.1. In looking in the rearview mirror, when you look at our interest rates that were out there, I mean, and the problem that we're having with housing and affordability, this is why. Here's interest rates in 2021. Homes are selling like crazy right here. Why did they keep rates down so low for so long? This is when they should have been raising rates. They finally started cranking up about 2022 when they realized, oh, we do have inflation. Oh, home prices are really starting to come up. Janet Yellen was going, pump, 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 let's go. This inflation is transitory. So this is where they made the mistake. This is why house prices are high, folks, right here. Fed policy, too much spending, too much money chasing too few goods. We only had 4,800 to 5,000 homes for sale, and we were snapping them up as soon as they hit the market. Now today, they raised interest rates. They're trying to start to come down a little bit, and they say that they're predicating their rate moves on the job market. Well, right now, we don't have any job market numbers. So, so there's just not going to be a whole lot that's happening this week. How are builders reacting? Well, here's permits. You can see here we have year to date. This year is 17,107. Year to date last year was 20,000. So they are backing off. They are anticipating slowness all through next year. They don't want to get ahead of their skis. So they are backing off. As you can see back here in 2004, we had 38,000 permits. They were cranking them all the way out there in 2005 and 2006. And that's what caused all of this excess inventory that was out there. And people were buying them up by fogging up a mirror. Do you have a job? Yeah, sure. How much do you make? 60,000. Okay, you want to see my pay? We don't need your pay stubs. Let's give you a nice little adjustable rate mortgage here. Do you want two houses? So everything collapsed. And then you can see that the builders down here just stopped building for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years. Just put a halt to it. Things kind of got back to normal. Buyers started going out there. Lo and behold, we didn't have enough homes when interest rates were sitting down at 3%. So that's kind of the story in the situation that we're in at the moment. As I take a look on Monday and Tuesday, I'm going to be watching the stock market very close. I want to see how this tariff talk affects that, because that's going to affect the high end of our market. Anything over $1 million, $1.5 million, that's fueled by the stock market and the performance, and it's been great. And so that market's been thriving. Anything below 500,000 has been a bit of a challenge. The homes are moving, but they're very interest rate sensitive. That higher end, it's not interest rate sensitive. So that's why they're not being affected. And since they're doing very well in those other equities, they're going to continue to scoop up the houses. So let's watch and see what the stock market does on Monday morning. And also sign up for my newsletter. I send my newsletter out every Monday morning at 7 o'clock. That's all you get from me all week. You'll get to see the Cromford chart along with their commentary, mortgage details, and extensive market reports. Very easy to read on your phone. I encourage you to sign up for it. Heck, why not? Hope you have a great night. Take care. I will see you later.